Hi, my name is Mark Aresi, and today I'm going to be talking to you about multisensory instruction. Multisensory instruction is pretty much what it sounds like. You're engaging a child's multiple senses at one time during a lesson. As teachers, we probably don't even realize that we're doing this, and that this is something that goes on in our classroom just about every day. It goes on in my classroom just about every day. I teach health and phys ed. I mainly use it in my health classroom since I have an easier access to technology, but I also use it in my gymnasium as well, especially for my adapted PE class. I had an adapted PE class in my first placement. I was teaching them basic Frisbee instructions, and these kids mostly had autism. One kid had Asperger's, another kid had ADHD, and they were on the severe side. So I had to take my time with them to teach them something as simple as how to properly throw a frisbee. I showed them a video on how to properly throw a frisbee, so that was engaging one of their senses. That was their visual sense. I explained to them how to properly hold a frisbee, so that was engaging their auditory sense. So I was combining two senses at one time right there. In phys ed, we mainly use visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile. Kinesthetic is the hands-on, and the tactile is the movement part. So, for example, since these kids had very severe disabilities that I was working with, there was only 8 of them in a class. That's not a big class at all, but they were. I don't want to say they were a handful, but it was something new for me, and I really had to take my time on how to work with these kids. Don't get me wrong, I loved working with them. It's what I want to do for the rest of my life. It was absolutely amazing. However, you have to adapt everything. I even had to adapt my equipment, for example. Like, I had small frisbees like this here. Now, if you look at it, obviously this isn't your normal everyday frisbee, but this is what I had my kids use. So, for example, I taught them how to properly throw a frisbee, how to properly hold a frisbee first before I showed them how to throw it. So, to engage their visual sense, I showed them, say, okay, here's a frisbee. Straightforward. Auditory, this is me talking to them on how to properly hold it. I showed them. I even actually had a couple more frisbees like this that I let them use. So their kinesthetic was their hands-on approach on how, after I'll show you in a second how to properly hold a frisbee. They also executed that, and their tactile was giving each other, the personal space for the movement tactics. So I start off by telling them, okay, when you have your frisbee in your hand, you take your pinky, your ring finger, and your middle finger, you place it under the frisbee like so. Then you take your pointer finger and you put it on the side, and you have your thumb up on the top. Now, after we got that far, I had everybody on the same page. While I was talking to them, I said, okay, well, now pull the frisbee into your chest and then flick your wrist and let it go. In a normal setting, that I probably wouldn't have had to go the whole approach on saying, okay, well, I had to show them a video, show them the demonstration and everything like that. But you got to keep this in mind. Not all students are the same, especially when it comes to adapted phys ed. You have to kind of pull back a little bit. You got to take your time. You got to go above and beyond. I try to go above and beyond in all my classes. But for adapted phys ed, I got to go even further. I feel like I got to go further. And don't get me wrong, I love doing that. I love pushing myself. I love teaching my kids. I like to push myself and get as much information out of myself as I can to get to my students, to make sure that they know how to execute a skill. Or say I am in the classroom teaching them about smoking. I want to make sure that they know those short and long-term effects. Like I even taught a lesson in my health classroom. I had pictures of what lungs are supposed to look like and what they look like when they're from years of smoking abuse. I even showed them videos on secondhand smoke. Multisensory instruction is something that we use as teachers. We use every day. If we don't use it every day, we should try to implement it every day in our lessons. It is a great tool to use. It is a very simple tool to use. That is my short lesson on how to properly throw a frisbee in an adaptive phys ed class along with multi-sensory instruction. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me. Thank you very much.